In just over a week, European crypto regulation reaches a deadline. On the 1st of July, the transitional period for MiCAR ends. And after that, if you serve crypto clients in the EU without the license, you are breaking the law. And the exits have already started. This is the Bitcoin Weekly by Blockrise. Here's what's actually happening and why I think it is good news. Forget the price for a second. The numbers that really matter this week are these. In 2024, Europe had more than 3,000 registered crypto providers, and today around 194 hold a MiCAR license. By one analysis, roughly 75% of the old provider base loses the right to operate. And for context, Bitcoin itself is quiet, around 55,000 euros per Bitcoin, down a few percent from last week, still below the 200-day average. The story this week is not the chart, it's the regulatory situation. So here's my view, and it's not always a popular one in the Bitcoin circles. I think this is actually good news, and I'll tell you why with the caveats. So I'm in favor of MiCAR, not because regulation is absolutely beautiful, but because of what it does in practice. A framework is what gives banks and asset managers the confidence to allocate. And this is important for the adoption of Bitcoin and remains relevant as long as we see the Bitcoin price expressed in fiat. A retail-only asset will remain small, but regulation is the permission slip for serious capital, and in 1 week that permission slip becomes mandatory. But notice what the deadline actually does. It does not just accelerate, it filters. The exchanges that treated a license as a real compliance project are still standing. The ones that hoped that the rules would not arrive in the EU are now telling users to leave. And that sorting was the entire point. It is the market discovering who built for the long term. And now some of my honest caveats, because I'm not here just to cheerlead. First of all, MiCAR is version 1. Lending largely remains outside of scope. Payments and DeFi are not covered at all. There will be a need for multiple iterations before MiCAR becomes really good. And second, the rollout is not even, and that is a real problem. Some countries have barely issued any licenses. Poland has issued none at all. Its national crypto law was vetoed twice, so its regulator cannot even process applications yet. And platforms there have to apply in other EU countries or stop operating. So a single market that works at 27 different speeds is not a finished framework. And 3, this is the distinction that people keep getting wrong. Regulation and losing privacy are two different fights. You can want a clear licensing framework and still defend privacy as a separate principle. Combining them produces better arguments on both sides. I've lived on the upside of this. The moment we operated inside a regulated approved model, the conversation with banks, for example, changed. They finally had something to point to. And next week, the entire European market gets that same forcing function at once. The story that tells you how serious this is, it's not just small companies that are affected, it is already happening today. MEXC messaged its European users yesterday to say it stops operating in the EU. And Greece's market regulator, the Hellenic Capital Market Commission, has rejected Binance's MiCAR application. Binance is the largest crypto exchange in the world. It applied in January, and a rejection would block access across the entire EU once the deadline passes. Meanwhile, Blockrise, Coinbase, Kraken secured their MiCAR licenses and carry on. The deadline does not care how big you are. It cares whether you did the work. And that is exactly what a real framework is supposed to do, and why regulation is the enemy was the wrong framing. The enemy of a serious user is not the rulebook, it's a platform that never intended to be accountable to it at once. 2 things I'm watching for the next 2 weeks. First, how the media coverage will be. By one estimate, 60% of European users were still on the unlicensed exchanges going into this. Some will move to licensed venues. I hope a meaningful share moves to genuine self-custody and verifiable ownership, because that is the lesson underneath the license. And second, whether the market will do anything in the next 2 weeks. The price action has stayed out, resulting in mostly horizontal movement. The Bitcoin price didn't break through for some time, but it didn't dump very hard either. This is not financial advice, it's my perspective on what's happening based on 10 years of building in this space. Do your own research and don't forget to subscribe. See you in 2 weeks and verify your Bitcoin.